Hey everyone, Nick here and welcome back to GamerTube, and welcome back to our What Could Be in Poppy Playtime series. So for today's character, we're looking into Candy Cat. So we'll go through Candy Cat's location, their gameplay mechanics, and all that good stuff as well. And always, I will just state that the character that we've designed here isn't definitive of what the character will actually look like in the game, nor anything we say in this video will be what actually happens in the game. So this is just pretty much like a what if scenario and a cool creepy story we get to tell, and we hope you enjoy. And lastly, do be sure to subscribe to GamerTube as it helps out a lot and is greatly appreciated. Also, it keeps you up to date with all the videos that we post. Alrighty, well, let's take a deeper look at Candy Cat. So in our last video, we went into the character of Boogiebot. Whilst crawling through a vent, our protagonist once again got attacked by the terrifying toy Huggy Wuggy. Both characters fell through the vent and landed in the testing area. Our protagonist has to escape this new area if they want to make it out in one piece. After sneaking through the testing area, they came across the life-sized version of Boogiebot. We soon come to realise that Boogiebot isn't a dangerous character. Boogiebot ends up helping the main character escape and also defeats Huggy once and for all. After this ordeal, Boogiebot said goodbye and placed the player back into the main hall. Now continuing where we left off, our protagonist notices the roller door for the Innovation Center has now opened up. The open roller door reveals another set of doors. As the player goes to open them, they realise they are locked shut. They need to find the right key. As they search the lobby, they come across a strange looking trail of candy leading to the cafeteria. It was in the cafeteria where they met the terrifying true form of Bron the dinosaur. Whilst escaping from this frightening creature, they eventually made it to the other end of the cafeteria. Past the cafeteria was the food processing area of the factory. This is where they made all their Playtime code branded snacks and treats. It was here where they eventually defeated Bron. It appears that this trail of candy leads directly back to this area. Maybe this trail of candy will lead to the key, or maybe a new threat altogether. As they follow through the doors, they eventually make it into the food processing area. All around them are shelves and racks stacked with boxes of all the different food items. Whilst they continue to follow the trail of candy, they come across the destroyed body of Bron. Ever since the player beat them, their body has stayed in the same place. The player turns around and sees the trail leading into the candy room. They enter through the door and see at the end of the room the key to the Innovation Center. It's behind an unbreakable glass tube that appears to be locked. On the wall are multiple tubes filled with candy. This would bring us to a puzzle segment where the player needs to weigh out the correct amount of candy in order to activate the locks. The electronic scales would be very sensitive and they would need to be extra careful with how much they add. If the player goes over the specific weight, they would need to dump all the candy and start again. After they've finished both of the puzzles, the key would then be released. Just as they go to grab it, a large disturbing tongue breaks out of an air vent and snatches up the key. The player has no choice but to go back outside and retrieve this key. As they enter back into the main production area, they notice the destroyed body of Bron is gone. Where could it have gone to? Maybe that disgusting looking tongue might have grabbed it. The player then decides to explore further through the processing area to find this key. Out of the corner of their eye, they see the bright reflection glint of the key. It's just hanging right outside of a door. Once again, as they approach the key, the strange tongue grabs it through the door. The player has no choice but to follow the tongue through the door in hopes of retrieving this key. They now enter through the packing segment of the facility. This is where all the food and products get their final packaging boxes and wrappers. The player sees the key hanging up at the end of this room once again. Whatever kept taking this key and placing it all around the facility surely was mocking the player. Whilst they approach the key, there would be multiple vents on the wall with GrabPack switches to open and close them. At any given time, the strange tongue can burst out of these vents and grab our protagonist. It would start to bring them closer and closer towards the vent. The player would need to activate the switches and close the hatch on the tongue so it will retract and let them go. After the player has fought off the tongue multiple times, they finally approach the key. They grab the key and start to make their way back. As they enter the main food processing plant, they finally see what's been hiding the key and trying to grab them. Before them stands a large mascot version of Candy Cat. On the surface, they look to be a pretty simple looking character. It's pretty much just a larger version of Candy Cat. They actually look to be pretty friendly, and not as scary as the other characters they've encountered so far. All of that quickly changes as soon as Candy Cat opens their mouth filled with multiple jagged teeth. Their long tongue protrudes out of their frightening mouth as it grabs the player. Candy Cat's tongue drags the player closer to their doom. Our protagonist now knows what happened to Bron's remains. Candy Cat must have eaten them whole. The player needs to quickly find a way to stop Candy Cat from devouring them as well. They noticed above Candy Cat's head are multiple candy dispensers. The player quickly activates the dispenser as it drops a whole bunch of candy into their mouth. Candy Cat immediately lets go of the player and starts to eat all of this candy. It's like they can't get enough of it. They could almost eat until they burst. And that might be exactly what they need to do to get past this creepy boss character. So in this boss battle segment, the player would need to wait until the dispensers are powered up again before they can reactivate them. In the meantime, the player has to dodge the oncoming attacks from Candy Cat's tongue. When it's time again, the player would activate the dispensers and Candy Cat would devour every single piece. Eventually, their stomach would grow larger and larger. After a few phases of dodging attacks and activating the candy, their stomach would finally burst. Just like some twisted piñata, all the candy would scatter all over the place. Their tongue would suddenly fall to the ground as they finally stopped moving. The player has finally beaten Candy Cat and now they can move on. They eventually reach the main lobby and face the door of the Innovation Center. They place the key in the door and turn the lock. The player now enters through the Innovation Center, unaware of what horrors are soon to await them. Alrighty everyone, well that's all we have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, commenting, and subscribing as it helps out a lot and it's greatly appreciated. Also, like always, do be sure to comment down below what you thought of today's character, and also what you'd like to see going forward. Alrighty everyone, well until the next video, catch you later, bye.